Good morning, everyone. Like he has said, I'm Mable Mudenda from Zambia. And I just want first of all to thank the CRC because I came all the way from Africa specifically for this conference. Yeah, just to begin with, I just wanted to emphasize the background. I think that's where it all began. Because as Africa, we actually depend a lot on agriculture. Actually, it employs 60% of our labor force. What is also interesting is that you find about a quarter of the continent's GDP actually comes from Africa and is actually based on mainly from agriculture. Also, what is also interesting is that there are also high pesting introductions that challenge plant biosecurity in Africa. And the fact that Europe and the rest of the world does deal a lot with Africa in terms of trade, then you actually see that it's very possible to move pests across the continents. We have a lot of introductions, and although it's interesting also to note that during the presentations, we found that there are a lot of introductions. I think on the first day we had 17 introductions came into Australia. But for us, I think it's even worse because just for Zambia, we have had 2 introductions just this year and last year. And then also, what is also important is that capacity building is key, but we normally have a lot of challenges. And I think that's where the issue of the program, that's how the issue of the program came on board. Because with those challenges that we have in terms of capacity building and also the introductions that were there in our African countries, it was important that the AAPBP is just Africa, Australia Plant Biosecurity Program. This one came on board and it started more or less in 2014, but we came on board as the Africans in 2015, and more or less continued up to 2016 and 2017. Now, what was also interesting about the program is that it focused on a participatory kind of training on biosecurity, because if you look at the other programs that are there, usually you find they focus on coming up with maybe looking at harmonized protocols, they look at surveillance protocols and the like. But this one, what was interesting about this program was that it actually looked at skills development. And it also had that participatory part because we had to come all the way from Africa to come and learn on what Australia is doing on plant biosecurity. And we're actually very grateful for the funders. I think the main funders were the Australian Centre for International Agriculture Research, which is ASIA. And then we had also the implementing partners, the PBCRC, CABI, and Crawford Fund. They funded the entire program. And then also what was interesting about the program was that we had some training which had to do with a number of issues that looked at how to do communication skills. It also looked at how to come up with the policy briefs and also diagnostics. It looked at surveillance, looked at coming up with emergency plans. So the package was quite full. And what was also of importance was the mentoring part. I'm happy Susan Perry, the one who did the first session, she was one of my mentors. So we had that kind of collaboration, which was very helpful for us from Africa. And furthermore, the training actually involved us going to state and federal government and biosecurity research organizations in Australia. So we went to different parts of Australia, and each one was actually looking at because we had different problems that we wanted to tackle from the 10 countries that were involved. So we are more or less attached to the different organizations that were dealing with the problems that we had in mind. And furthermore, just wanted to show, I know what was interesting also is that during the presentation by Chevron, they said Barrowwood Island is not known in Australia. So I also wanted just to appreciate that Zambia may not be really known. This is basically where we are. Yeah, that's Zambia. South Africa is done. I know most of us know South Africa very well, but that's where Zambia is. And these basically were the countries that were involved: Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, and also Ethiopia is not appearing there. But we had Zambia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, Botswana. I mean, not Botswana, but we had Zambia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Malawi. So those were the countries that were involved. Now, like I was saying, the goal really was to enhance the capacity of us biosecurity officers from Africa. And it wanted to also strengthen our biosecurity skills so that we can also understand the relationships that exist between public and private. Because I've noticed even during the stay here in 2015, was that there's a very strong collaboration between the public and the private sector. So I think even during our training, that one was also emphasized. And we have actually also tried to implement that in our own African countries. And then also maybe just to mention that, of course, there were other programs that were existing already, and Australia really tried to just leverage on that, because we have other programs that are funded by FAO, funded by World Bank, funded by COMESA and IPSAC and those other programs. But like I said, it was the participatory part, or the skills training, that was very much different in this program. Then the main achievements really was that we had quite some good training and some good attachments. So we actually increased on our confidence, efficiency, and communication skills for better organizational performance. Because as you may be aware, sometimes confidence is very important. Apart from just having the skills, you need to be confident in what you are doing. And also the efficiency. You can be doing something, but if you're not efficient at the end of it all, it may be just like shooting in the dark. So also we are exposed to efficient and effective pest diagnostic, pest management, insect rearing, and surveillance procedures and protocols. We have these protocols quite all right in our countries, but sometimes maybe they're not that effective. So we looked at also how do we manage the little resources that we have, because most of our research is poorly funded. So we also looked at how efficiently can we use the little resources that we have. And so it also improved our ability to formulate strategic standards, plans, and policies. For one thing, we were not aware of what was interesting in Australia, how the emergency pest response did, which we don't have in Africa, whereby you plan in advance, like forward planning, where you even look at how will be the funding in case of an emergency, or how will you manage an incursion, and where the funding will be from. So those are some of the things that we were actually able to get from the whole program. And so it actually has helped us also to even bring about the issues of the funding, because most of sometimes we don't create maybe enough awareness to our governments. So the policy briefs also have helped us to actually get biosecurity to be known by our governments, and as a result, we have actually even improved in some of our biosecurity issues in our countries. Then also, we have increased the linkages with Australian mentors and experts. Like I said, one of them for me was Susan Perry, as well as Rebecca Sepupa from Cairns. So it's very difficult sometimes to get information on the internet, because you find most of the journals, when you try to open, there's $1 attached to that. And then you find you may not have that money to actually get that information. So when we get linked up with the experts, I think we feel it will be easier for us to get information out there without maybe spending so much money on. We know research is expensive, but we really have appreciated the fact that we are linked to the experts, and we can be able to consult and get the information that we need for our own research, and also our biosecurity threats that we encounter. And then we have had the enhanced market access negotiation capabilities. We did a lot of simulation exercises. So as a result, we actually gained a lot of confidence, and we have also some testimonies from Kenya. Kenya is and Tanzania, as well as Zambia. So for Tanzania, they've actually even gained market access for mangoes. And then also we have Kenya, where they are using some of those diagnostic methods that were learned in the labs to actually test for imports and exports. And because at the end of it all, once we are doing better in Africa, it means even for you, Australia, in Australia, as you import, you actually get less to do. Because I can give an example of 2017, Australia imported actually about 5 million stems of roses from Kenya, just Kenya alone. So it actually shows the level of exchange of materials that is going on between Africa and the rest of the world. So if we're able to get it right, then it means at the end of it all, Australia will have less to do in terms of diagnostics and detection that may occur on the borders. And then stronger collaborative initiatives and alliances, because like you see, we learned so much. For me, I was involved with the banana industry, where we looked at the Fusarium wilt, Panama disease in short. So we saw like the industry was actually very much involved in dealing with the control of the same. So we actually also have enhanced that in our own countries, in the different African countries. We have enhanced that, and we have actually tried to involve the seed industry, for example, for ourselves in Zambia, and other industries, so that they can understand that they have a role to play. If we don't get it right, then they actually have a lot to spend on the controls. And then we had greater plant biosecurity awareness. Like I said, we have created more awareness now, because sometimes, like you say, people always attach biosecurity with the other things and security. They always want to know what it is. But I think we have tried to create more awareness so that people appreciate, and maybe we get more funding from our governments. And then also we have support and development. We did actually develop some country plans for specific problems that we had. And so we actually got support. We even did the stakeholders awareness workshops in our various countries so that we could get the stakeholders on board. So we are able to actually improve on that aspect. And then I just wanted to maybe look at the future. We did, like I said, mentoring was key. This is Susie there, just with one of our colleagues from Mozambique. We want to feel the mentoring should continue. Like you said, it's important that we keep in touch with our colleagues and the experts so that we can continue the mentoring and continue getting the knowledge that we need with the less dollars put on the table. And then we want to continue to the network, because the bigger part really was that we created a network. We didn't know the other plant biosecurity officers, so we have actually created a network, and we want to continue contacting each other and consulting on the issues that affect us. And then we understand that they want to create a new program for the new Pacific so they can learn from our experience as Africans. And then also want the SCRC to support the new coordinator, because as you know, a lot of money was put in this program, so we want the program to continue. And so COMESA has actually appointed Dr. Bera to actually continue so that we continue with the network. And then finally, we just want the support of biosecurity action plans so that it can continue. And so that whatever has been learned, it can continue also in the future. And thank you very much. If you want more information, feel free to contact me or CRC. Thank you.